Welcome to SOT. John here, you there. Maybe I should turn this on since we are live and stuff. So, John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out for another go round of soccer over there here on the SDH network. It's the end of our longest, traditionally, our longest day of the week. And it is morning D Graham. Wow. Shows you where my head is always at. Evening D Graham. Goodness gracious. So it shows you where things are. I mean, it was humbling that you wanted to have SOT come back after the absence, and hopefully we have had the vibe that is there to help tell the stories about what's going on around the planet because of all the stories going on in this particular hemisphere that we have to tackle during the morning show. And this gives us the outlet to talk about everything else going on around worldwide for a couple of hours every Monday, or when we need to hop in and really talk about stuff. By the way, I have already found our first game of Picks of the Week. And it was in the process of trying to determine how poorly I had done last week and going with our continuing education, although it is a repeat squad in back-to-back weeks, it does continue with the education that we've had, and it will go in hour number 2. And the first matchup that we are going to have is legitimately from Uzbekistan. So it is Uzbekistan batting leadoff. And so Uzbekistan will be match number 1, and it will be the league that we've been discussing and kind of pretty much focusing on every single week and trying to find out as much about it as humanly possible. And it is the Uzbek Super League, and we are having a repeat team because it's the odds that are the closest tomorrow morning. So that is where we are with Picks of the Week. So that's the that's the rundown. Sorry, I'm trying to book guests for Friday. Hang on. Let's see. So they and so are let's see, 2 of the busier. Let's see. So literally, like, they're trying to book. I'm trying to book our Friday guests, and so of course it happened. All right. So that. Okay. So Picks of the Week. We'll start that in hour number 2, and we will start in Uzbekistan, and it will be a team that we had on last week. We're going to come and have them on this week because the odds are the closest between the 2 opponents and the draw option. So that's going to be number 1. That's going to be matchup number 1. It's tomorrow morning, I think, at 10 a.m. But so we'll get into it in hour number 2. And it'll be an opportunity to once again continue our education in Uzbekistan in Picks of the Week in hour number 2. Just to give you an idea about what happened in Picks of the Week, I actually finished on the plus side. I actually won more than one game, but barely. So that was how it happened last week, and we'll get into that in hour number 2 in Picks of the Week segment that we have traditionally in hour number 2. Oh, by the way, I know that folks are kind of asking, so here's the deal. Considering the boss, literally this is a T-shirt that the boss picked up for me in and around St. Patrick's Day, so I figured I'd wear it tonight. Dibs on the redhead, so that's where we are. Okay. Rundown for tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on in England that we have to get into, especially in the lower divisions. And there was a wild finish that kind of exacerbated a point in the lower divisions where you're getting into the notion of the National League not really being, the beer league that we associate with it. So, if it's something in that vein, then it will be the hue and cry of it being more of a League 3 instead of a National League. So that's kind of where we are with one of the stories tonight, and we'll go and we'll think about the National League, and we'll register it that way. So let's see, huh? Okay, so that is there. Let's see. So that, and like I said, I'm sorry. I'm taking care of business. Okay, I think we're in a good spot. All right. So that's where we are. So we'll start in England with a fantastic finish that kind of reminds me of what happened a while back, and we'll go back to that first fantastic finish and get you into the second fantastic finish, and we'll talk about the National League. It's something that probably is going to generate a hue and cry, at least in the National League and getting into League Two and all that kind of stuff, because League Two teams, I'm sure, will get pissed. National League teams are already pissed. And so we'll get into the fantastic finish. The only thing missing is Alcoa Aluminum, and we'll get you into that in that discussion. So there's that. There's also the discussion that a former owner in the Premier League is looking to hop back in with another group to pick up possibly her old club in the Premier League, or it might be another one. There is a link to a group in Florida that looks like they might be picking up a team in the leagues outside of the first four divisions of the British Pyramid. And so we'll get into that because it's Florida based, so it's here in the footprint. There's some stuff going on in Italy that you need to know about, especially with officials and VAR. We talked about it briefly this morning on the morning show as part of our topics and stuff, but we have not had the chance really to go in depth and get into it that way. So there's that. And then there's something that happened over the weekend. And I know at some point we probably should have our friend John Arnold back to talk Liga MX. And we'll get into the discussions there about the departure of a legend from his current club and now what for said legend. And like I said, then we'll get into picks a week and all that kind of stuff. So here's where we're going to start. Here's where we're starting. So we will go and we'll start in England in the lower divisions. Now, I don't know how many of you remember, and this is probably a show of hands. Do you remember the fantastic finish involving Troy Deeney and Watford that got them promoted when it came to 2013, and it was a ridiculous finish in the championship playoff semi? So back in May of 2013, Watford hosted Leicester, second leg championship playoff semifinal. They were down 1-0 in aggregate. And so you're at Watford. Watford was looking for a chance to come back and be a part of the Premier League for the first time since 2007. You get promoted. You end up with basically £170 million because that was the TV revenue. Troy Deeney wanted to try to get Watford to get to Wembley to get a chance to get at that money. And so 2012, Deeney was arrested, and this is from our friends at Stars and Stripes FC. So Deeney was arrested beating up a group of students, cited depression, and his dad would eventually pass from esophageal cancer a few months later. Sentenced to 10 months in prison, released after 3, rejoined Watford a couple of months into their season, scored 20 goals across all comps, and then Mati Vidra scores in the 15th minute of the second leg, making it 1-0 in the match, equalizing aggregate at 1-1. And so David Nugent gets a header from an Anthony knockout penalty, knockout corner. 4 minutes later, puts them on top 2-1. Game goes to halftime. Watford still needed 1 to send it to extra time, 2 to advance. Watford gets a goal in the 65th. Deeney sets up Beedra for his second. Aggregate now at 2. So then you go second half stoppage time. 5th minute of stoppage. Leicester's going forward. Knockaert is brought down in the penalty area. Penalty call. Knockaert is trying to get the ball past Manuel Almunia. So Knockaert hits the penalty kick attempt. Almunia saves it. Almunia saves it with his foot. Then it's another Knockaert shot, saved again, cleared out by a Watford defender. Then they go screaming down the right-hand side. Forestieri eventually goes deep right corner. Cross. Jonathan Hogg puts it in the middle of the box to Deeney. Deeney scores at 90+7. Watford's up by 2 in the match, 3-2 on aggregate. And Troy Deeney gets the goal that gets them into the Wembley playoff, losing to Crystal Palace in the playoff final. And then Deeney would finally get to play in a Premier League match. 2 years later, they get promoted. So Troy Deeney has that kind of a moment to get them to that stage of being in a championship playoff final. They didn't quite finish the story, but you have that kind of a moment. In the National League, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, in the 5th division, you end up with actually, legitimately, you had a moment that was similar, and it was absolutely insane because it's the last day of the regular season, and it's one of those moments where it was beyond nuts. So Rochdale, and here's your situation. Rochdale, they need to beat York, or they needed to win the match to go over York, get the National League title, and automatic promotion. And when you do that, that means that there's only one other team that comes along with you, but they have to go through the promotion playoff. And so Rochdale ends up having a moment like this, and you were this close to perhaps giving Rochdale a championship, or were you? And this is courtesy of our friends at DAZN, and this is the international feed, because DAZN International has the feed of the National League. They have the National League games of the week, and so they have all of that going on. Here's how it happened north of 90 minutes on DAZN, where you thought magic was going to happen for the first time.
Henderson with a brilliant ball toward the back. Who else? And from seconds away from finishing second, Rochdale may well have become Enterprise National League champions, may well be heading straight into the Football League.
Absolute mayhem.
Utterly remarkable.
Let's talk about the cross from who else?
Extraordinary balling. But to find Diasaruwe in that position, to do it again, is remarkable. This game has gone on through second, minute with so much energy, so many opportunities. And Manny Diasaruwe, at the very last, has taken it for Rochdale. Ian Henderson may well have scored this goal.
So you end up with Disaruwe, and that might have been a little low, and I apologize for that. So Disaruwe gets a header 5 minutes after the 90, and you end up with a lead for Rochdale. And so Rochdale leading. So Rochdale, once again, they needed this win to hop to the top of the table. But there's a problem. The Rochdale fans, because there was like 30 seconds left in all of the action, because they had said it was going to be 6 minutes of stoppage. So basically like 5.5 minutes into 6. DeSarue scores. Rochdale gets the go-ahead goal. So fans storm the field, which is bad. You end up with the fans storming. Pitch invasion delays the game for 6 minutes. And so that means that the 5.5 that were on the board were going to continue to be longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. Then, literally, you're getting to like the 12th minute, 13th minute. And so you're in the 103rd minute. You end up with this moment from Josh Stones. And Josh Stones sends it flying back the other way.
Ball in towards Stones. It's Stones put across goal. Saving the near post. Farfield stands it back up. Headed towards goal by Howe. Save! Oh my word! Somehow stayed out. Has it? Is it given?
Oh my God. What on earth? What on earth?
Have you ever seen the like in your life? Have you ever seen the like in your life? York City, seemingly buried, seemingly finished, have risen and have somehow steered the ball over the goal line. One of the most remarkable finishes to a game you will ever see in your football supporting life. It is unbelievable.
Wow. Wow. We're actually stood up.
I do not know what to say. This is one of the most jaw-dropping finishes to a match, to a game that was already set up for glory, for drama, for entertainment. But this is something else. And at its core, this might be why every single one of us is a football fan.
Once again, courtesy of our friends at DAZN. So here's what finally happens. So you get the ball over the line by Josh Stones. York throws everybody forward. Goals confirmed. Center ref confers with his AR. You get another pitch invasion from York. But anyway, York stays on top. Rochdale still now has to go through the promotion playoff. 108 points, win the league. York spent 5 seasons in the 6th tier, National League North. Rochdale finished at 106. So you end up with that finish at 108 and 106 points. The question now comes from the hue and cry from the remainder of the 5th division that it should be more than just the one team that gets automatically qualified, especially when you have a situation where 2 teams are north of 100 points. 108 and 106. Team finishes second with 106 points. They have to go through the promotion playoff. Now, once again, just to kind of give you the idea of where things are in the promotion playoff at the moment, you end up with, and of course, trying to find the standings now. That's the difficult part. So in the tables, we sit here and we go technically non-league, I guess is where we go. So the National League, and the craziness about this table, York City wins 33 of 46. They score 114 goals. 114 goals in 33 matches. That's basically like 3.5 a match on average. Their goal difference is plus 73. They give up 41 goals in 46 matches. Literally, they give up 41 in 46 matches. Rochdale gives up 41, but they only scored 88. Not quite 2 a match. But then you go to a 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, because here's how it works, the promotion playoff in the National League. 5th division. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Season's over. 2 and 3 wait. 4, 5, 6, and 7 knock each other around. The winner of 4 versus 7 and 5 versus 6 play Rochdale and Carlisle United. So Boreham Wood hosts Forest Green Rovers. Yes, that Forest Green Rovers. And then Southend United and Scunthorpe United. Whoop, whoop, UTI, up the iron. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 play. Winners of those take on 2 and 3. So literally, Rochdale and Carlisle United have to wait this out. And Rochdale, after having the title, then not having the title in a 6-minute span because of a crowd rush of the field, they have to wait. And there have been a lot of folks that are lower division aficionados over in England sitting there going, this really needs to be a situation where 2 teams get automatically promoted and a third is settled the way that it normally is with the other divisions, except for League 2 to League 1 where it's 4. But still, you still have the 2 that are automatically promoted, and then you have ones that are not. They go through the playoff. So you're going to have a lot of folks from now on in the National League. A lot of the people in front offices for the higher teams in the National League are sitting there saying, we're not really a 5th division club anymore. We're operated more like League 3. And so you're going to see a lot of folks who are going to try and have discussions with the EFL probably in the next couple of years, because this is not the first time that you've had 2 teams far and away just smashing records and only one gets automatically promoted. So keep an eye out on this. Keep an eye out on this, where you will end up with York City looking at everything else, Rochdale having to wait, and they both had north of 100 points this past season in the National League. So like I said, just, something to keep an eye on just when it comes to the general operating procedures when it comes to the EFL and the National League and how things are going forward. So we had our almost Troy Deeney moment in the sense of last kick of the game, which turned into the last kick of the game because of what you had involving a pitch run-in from not one but both fan bases. Well, we now know one of the teams that's going up into the 4th division, and we have to wait on another stellar season from a team in the 4th division to go up to in the 5th division to go up to the 4th division. They got to wait, and they got to make it through the playoffs. And you know that the non-league folks are going to sit there and go, yeah, we need to change the rules. EFL is going to be sitting there going, it's like, yeah, fine, okay, whatever. But will the EFL and the National League come together and sit there and go, yeah, we probably need to open this up to a 3rd team when it comes to promotion and relegation? And what do the current teams in League 2 think about that? And by the way, that is coming down to the last day as well. That is coming down to the end of the season for League 2 when it comes to the promotion and relegation aspect of it, because you have in League 2 right now, you have 2 teams that are going to get relegated, but you also have, with 1 match left in the regular season, you have technically you have 5 teams that are involved in the League 2 relegation back to the National League. They're all separated by 4 points. 1 match left. Tranmere and Newport County at 40 points. They might get dragged down into it, but they just have to match their results. Barrows at 36 points. They've lost 4 of 5. They're the one in the biggest amount of danger. Harrogate Town at 39 points. They are in the relegation zone on goal difference. Crawley Town, 39 points, out on goal difference. Tranmere and Newport out because they're at 40 points. They are a point clear but they're still in danger. So Barrow plays Newport. Barrow needs to win and get some help. Harrogate Town takes on Barnet. Barnet is currently 9th. They're trying to get into the promotion playoff. So Barnet needs to win. Harrogate Town needs to win. Crawley Town takes on Salford City. Salford City is in 4th. They need to win to go into the automatic promotion spots in League One, to go to League One. So Salford needs to win. They're at 80 points. Cambridge United is at 81. Cambridge gets Crewe Alexandra, who's in 10th, and they're just kind of happy to be there because they're not going anywhere. They could go down in the standings, but they're not going up. They can't finish any higher than 10th with a result of some degree. They win, they're still in 10th. So it is literally chaos. It is 5 teams that are engaged in the drop discussion in League Two. You have as many as 2, 4, 6, 7 teams that could be in the promotion playoff discussion or automatically promoted into League One heading into the last day of the regular season. The team that I don't mention by name, the Carpetbaggers, they look like they're going to, I think they get to, they're going to go into League One next season. Damn it. So they're going in. But League Two has chaos upon chaos. Top and bottom and playoff. So you're talking about 14 of the 24 teams that have something going on to play for in League Two on the last day of the regular season this Saturday. So then League One, you ask. Here's where the chaos is in League One. You have as many, and you have 3, 6. You've got 6 teams trying to figure out where they're going to be when it comes to the promotion playoff. Lincoln City, they've been promoted. Cardiff City, they've been promoted. They're heading to the championship. That's not to be discussed. Who's joining them? Bolton, Stockport, Bradford, all separated by a point. 3, 4, 5. Stockport ahead of Bradford City on goal difference. Stevenage at 72. They're currently the 4th team in the promotion playoff. Luton at 71. Plymouth Argyle at 70. So all of them, 6 teams separated by 5 points, trying to get into all 4 positions in the promotion playoff in League One to get into the championship. So 6 teams at the top. And then you have 245. So you have 3 of the 4 teams that are figured out when it comes to relegation. Rotherham, Port Vale, Northampton, they're all going south. They're going to League Two. Exeter is at 49 points. They're unbeaten in 4, but they only have 1 win. They're at 49 points. They are 2 points from safety. Leyton Orient is at 51. Peterborough is at 52. Mercifully, AFC Wimbledon beat Wigan to get to 53 points, and so they are safe. But we will be joined by the Carpetbaggers next year in League One. So Exeter gets Bradford City. Bradford City, they got work to do. They have something to play for. Leyton Orient is playing Burton Albion. They really don't, other than positioning. Burton Albion, by the way, is unbeaten in their last 5. So Leyton Orient needs a result. They need to exceed what Exeter does. And Peterborough kind of has to do something against Mansfield Town. But Peterborough right now, 52 points. They're well ahead of Exeter on goal difference. So if Exeter has to win and win by a lot to make up goal difference on Peterborough. Our friends at Posh, you remember Vicente Reyes. That is where he is on loan this year at Peterborough. So 3 teams in theory, 1 spot for the drop. And then 6 teams chasing after the promotion playoffs in League One, trying to get to the championship. And so speaking of the championship, and like I said, I went down a rabbit hole. So I apologize. So the standings, we know Coventry City, they're going to be promoted. John Nason, if you see him, give him congratulations. I know it's been a while. Then you get into promotion playoff discussion. And it is 7 teams for 6 spots, 1 automatic promotion, 4 for the playoff. Ipswich is right now on a massive goal difference, well ahead of Millwall. Same number of points, but Ipswich is 17 on the plus side more than Millwall is. So Ipswich, second team in automatically. Millwall is your 3 seed. Middlesbrough is your 4, 79 points. So they could jump both Millwall and Ipswich with a win, and Ipswich and Millwall with draws. But Southampton plays Ipswich. They're at 76 points. They haven't lost in their last 5. So if Southampton needs a result to improve their positioning in the 3-4-5, they cannot finish any higher than 4, though. And they're right there in goal difference with Middlesbrough. Then the fun to get into the promotion playoff. Wrexham, Hull, Derby. Wrexham, 70 points. Southampton, by the way, has 1 match in hand, and that is going to be played tomorrow with Ipswich. Ipswich's season will be over. They'll have the 1 match to go at that point, and they'll have a better idea. So Wrexham right now, 1 match to go, 70 points, plus 4 goal difference. They are in the 6. They are in the 6th spot. Hull City is 1 goal behind in goal difference. They are out right now in 7th at 70 points. They have 3 points in their last 5 matches. Derby is at 69 points. Nice. Derby has a better goal difference than Wrexham and Hull, but they're a point behind with a match to go. Wrexham has Middlesbrough, the toughest of the bunch, but it is at the race course. Hull has Norwich. Norwich is trying to keep their 9th position. If they win, they're still 9th. If they lose, then they could be jumped by Birmingham and they could be 10th. So Norwich is kind of there. They could be 9th, they could be 10th. They could, they're not really moving a whole lot. So for Hull, it means a lot more. Derby has Sheffield United, who is in 15th. Sheffield United has lost their last 2, and this is at Derby County. So literally at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, it is going to be chaos personified in England, at least to start. National League playoffs begin. The number 2 team that had north of 100 points is waiting. League 2 has more than half of the teams active in some aspect of play, either going down, going in or out of the promotion playoff, or being automatically promoted. League 1, not as many, but just as much decisions top and bottom. Championship, it is 2, 3, 4, and 5, technically. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8. So literally you have 7 teams at the top of the table that are battling it out either to be automatically promoted to the Premier League, get into the promotion playoff, or get bumped from the promotion playoff if we're talking Wrexham. So Wrexham is chasing after their 4th consecutive promotion, which is unheard of in the pyramid. But they're chasing after that Saturday morning. I imagine that Parabros are going to have, and CBS Sports Network is probably going to have a Golasso show. Maybe even be on Golasso Network. They need one if they don't. To talk about everything League 2, everything League 1, everything Championship. We'll know who's going up. We'll know who's going down. We'll know everything in the in-between. But that's to lay out everything that's happening Saturday morning leading into Atlanta United and CF Montreal here in town. So what you need to do is go to the brew house and get it all squared away. Just start your day there, and then you get everything all squared away. You're ready to go, and then you're ready to head into Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the tailgating, and then you head into Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the matchup with Atlanta United and CF Montreal. But go to the brew house and start off your day like 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. So that's the latest involving involving the chaos in England. So that happened the other day. And so the other stories in England specifically, and Amanda Stavely is the individual that I was discussing earlier. There's a distinct possibility that Amanda Stavely could return to Newcastle United. It looks like her group that is separate and apart from the PIF, which owns Newcastle now. Her group looks like they're chasing after a $2 billion with a B dollar bid to pick up a franchise in the Premier League. Owners are not expected of the PIF to sell the club, but a new recruitment strategy looks like it's going to be ushered in, according to Reed Newcastle. So Alan Nixon reports Amanda Stavely is considering making a return to football, West Ham being an ideal opportunity as long as the club remains in the Premier League. So that's from our friends at Magpie 24/7. In the process of assembling a new consortium, reports indicating actively securing financial backing from the U.S. to make a bid for a football club. She sold her 6% stake at St. James Park in July of 24. Looking to return if the PIF decide to exit the club. Alan Nixon suggesting that Stavely's previously investigated a move for Spurs before shifting focus to a new possibility, aiming to raise approximately £2 billion. Alongside Newcastle, West Ham has emerged as a possibility. Considered an attractive option, driven partly by the ongoing preference of overseas investors for London-based teams, West Ham's valuation, though, remains tied to Premier League status. For Newcastle, European qualification very unlikely. Speculation regarding player exits. Anthony Gordon linked with Bayern. Sandro Tonali, interest from Arsenal and Manchester United. Could Amanda Stavely return? Keep an eye on Amanda Stavely and a possible return in the Premier League there. So that is the latest involving Premier League and things like that. Kind of going off the grid here a little bit, but with everything circulating involving Vancouver and the Whitecaps, who are a Phoenix club, they are not the original club in any manner, way, shape, or form. It is the third incarnation of a Phoenix club. Coming from a statement and reporting from The Athletic involving Tommy Scoops, Tom Bogert, and Paul Tenorio, where there is a report, and I'll go ahead and address it here, that you could have interest in Vancouver. Tenorio and Bogert have an article discussing the owners of Major League Soccer meeting earlier this month to evaluate Vancouver's future, including possible relocation. Move to Vegas was the chief option discussed. MLS has had discussions with a group looking to bring a team to the market. One group of Las Vegas investors unveiled a $10 billion with a B dollar development plan on the Strip called Star Vegas with 2 R's. 50,000-seat soccer stadium. Sources said that is not the group that is engaged with Major League Soccer. Vegas, Indy, Phoenix, Sacramento. If it's a relo. Last relocation 20 years ago when San Jose moved to Houston became the Dynamo. In 2008, San Jose was awarded an expansion club to regain the Quakes' history. Phoenix Club. Then there's obviously the mention about Crew. Whitecaps continue to work on an in-market solution. Lease at BC Place expires at the end of this year. Club is still up for sale. And so Major League Soccer, because of the report, the Whitecaps, because of the reporting, 2 paragraphs. Quote, we're aware of today's reporting. Club has faced well-documented structural challenges around stadium economics, venue access, and revenue limitations that have made it difficult to attract buyers committed to keeping the team in Vancouver. Over the past 16 months, we've had serious conversations with more than 100 parties, and to date, no viable offer has emerged that would keep the club here. It remains the strong preference of ownership to find a solution in Vancouver. If there's a local ownership group with the vision and resources to chart a path forward, we urge them to come forward. That's not very optimistic. But that was the club's statement that was put out by the Whitecaps just before we came on the air. So keep an eye on the Whitecap situation. Obviously, we'll probably talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. So Whitecaps not looking optimistic at the moment. FIFA, by the way, is set to introduce extra yellow card amnesty in the World Cup. That's coming from Dan Sheldon earlier this evening. All yellow cards expected to be wiped at the end of the group stage and after the quarters to reduce the chance of players missing knockout matches. New rules due to be discussed and signed off at the FIFA Council meeting in Vancouver on Tuesday. Also, keep an ear out for the possibility of, is it going to be officially announced about 2031? We'll find out if that's going to be officially official. In previous editions of the tournament, according to Sheldon, yellows only cleared after the quarters. Given this is an expanded World Cup, FIFA is planning to change the rules in an attempt to avoid more suspensions. Sources with knowledge of the plans, who wish to remain anonymous, have told The Athletic. Due to there being an additional 16 teams, an additional knockout match, the round of 32, has been added to the schedule. Idea behind tweaking the existing rules is to avoid a scenario where suspensions have piled up due to accumulated yellow cards. If the governing body did not seek a change, then a player picking up 2 bookings in 5 matches before reaching quarters would result in a suspension. Introducing a second amnesty period after group stages, player would need to be issued yellow cards in 2 of the 3 group stage matches or in 2 of the round of 32, last 16 and quarters to get a suspension. FIFA believes this is fair as it reduces jeopardy, allowing players to be available for key knockout matches. So that came from Dan Sheldon at the Athletic this afternoon and this evening, depending on where you are and when it happened. So that's where we are. Did you see, by the way, La Liga 2, the red card that happened in the match with Huesca and Real Zaragoza, where literally, and this is Sam Joseph and Tomasel Lopez Benchero, Real Zaragoza keeper Esteban Andrada has apologized. Basically, it was like a clothesline from the side, trying to take a swing during a mass altercation. The clubs also condemned the incident. Second half stoppage time. Huesca won 1-0 at home. Andrada went over to speak to the match official on the touchline, confronted by the Huesca captain, Jorge Pulido. Andrada then pushes Pulido, receives a second yellow card. Pulido milked it. I mean, literally, Andrada turns to Pulido and pushes him. And then basically you see Pulido just kind of Immediately after being sent off, Andrada tries to find Pulido and literally takes his right arm, comes from behind and slams him almost like a pseudo clothesline from hell and a roundhouse right. Mass altercation. Huesca keeper Danny Jimenez gets a straight red after he took a swing at Andrada. Zaragoza left back Danny Tasende also sent off. Zaragoza released a statement after the match. Andrada issued an apology and faced the cameras for it. And Huesca also issued a statement condemning what they saw, and they said they accepted Andrada's apology. Andrada's on loan from Monterrey, first-choice keeper, 28 times in all comps, capped 4 times by Argentina, each appearance coming in friendlies back in 2019. He meaning Andrada has accepted whatever the suspension is. And so we will find out what that is. But he has accepted the suspension, and we'll see where it goes from here. Italy. Refereeing scandal on the board. James Horncastle. Gianluca Rocchi was the 4th at the 2013 Champions League final, 2017 European Super Cup, 2019 Europa League final. Retired in 2020. Thursday, he must submit himself for questioning by prosecutors in Milan. He is accused in his role as the referee designator of the National Referees Committee for Serie A and Serie B. Think Pro for Serie A, Serie B. Committing fraud in the sport. Agenzia Italia Newswire is asking, is it the new Calciopoli? So Rocci, under allegations of fraud, prosecutors have advised Rocci to submit himself for an alleged violation of VAR protocol and the selection of referees to Inter Milan's liking. Rocci placed himself under suspension with immediate effect, as did his colleague Andrea Gervasoni. 5 matches have come under scrutiny for the last 2 seasons in Italian football. Inter Verona, Udinese Parma, Salernitana Modena, Bologna Inter and Milan. The Milan Derby. The Derby Madonnina. No one from the clubs is involved in the investigation. In a statement, Rocci said, quote, with regard to today's events, in agreement with the Italian Referees Association and for the good of the National Referees Committee, which must be able to operate with the utmost peace of mind, I've decided to suspend myself with immediate effect from the role of the head of the CAN. Made in consultation with my family, intended to allow the legal proceedings to run their course properly. I'm certain I will emerge from this unscathed and stronger than before. So he placed himself on suspension. He is supposed to meet prosecutors Thursday in Milan. March of last year, Udinese plays Parma. The VAR and his assistant spot a possible handball in the area by Parma. Check to see if the referee made the correct decision. They analyze it. VAR thought that the player's arm close to the body, another angle reinforced the decision, but the opinion wasn't a penalty. Allegedly, someone then taps on the window of the VAR booth. Paterna turns, the VAR turns, then apparently whoever's on the other side of the glass trying to get his attention and appeared to mouth, is it a penalty? Center ref is then informed to bring a play to halt and carry out an on-field review. Penalty awarded. Florio Tovin scores. Udinese won 1-0 against Parma, who was trying to stay in the league. A knock on the window and an apparent change of decision breaks the autonomy of the decision-making process. The knock allegedly came from Rocci. End of the last season, audio of the dialogue and the audible knock found their way into an Italian daily that was published in Rome. Giuseppe Cine, the FIGC's federal prosecutor, received a complaint from a match official disillusioned with how the officials' organization was being run. Particular match official didn't understand why some peers got plum matches so soon after bad performances. He wanted an explanation for his own evaluations. Jaded by his experience, this particular official listed grievances, which included what he claimed to see on the day of Udinese Parma, when, in his telling, Rocci allegedly overstepped the mark and knocked on the booth window. FIGC opened a case, interviewed the parties involved. Rarely given to public statements, Cine felt obliged to speak, placing Rocci under investigation. Adequacy of the own probe of the FIGC's own probe has come under scrutiny. FIGC's investigation was more limited in scope, focusing only on what is alleged to have happened against in the Udinese Parma match. The one overseen by the Milan prosecutor's office is broader. Rocci is accused of colluding with several other individuals at the San Siro to designate referees in such a way that was to Inter Milan's liking. And so you have that as a part of all of this. So is this the new Calciopoli? That is the larger question. We have to keep an eye on this. And so, morning forecard, evening forecard, what is up? So your requested required reading is at The Athletic. It's a bit of a deep dive. I'm not going to go into the whole thing here because then we wouldn't get into picks of the week in 10 minutes. But you end up with this breaking everything down. And what we really need is to have Nick come in and break down the thoughts on alleged collusion involving officials. So that's where it is. Go to The Athletic, and you get to break it all down there. Italian Referees Association, according to James Horncastle at The Athletic, is in disarray and has been for years. In 2022, the president resigned after the Italian Referees Association's own federal prosecutor was arrested, sentenced to 5 years and 8 months as a part of an investigation into a large-scale international drug trafficking operation. Successor was banned from holding office for 13 months after allegedly pressuring the referee designated for Serie C and Serie D to resign to pave the way for 2 other individuals to replace them. Tomorrow, the Sports Appeals Board is going to figure out whether or not that ban is upheld. So it means that the AIA doesn't have a president, Serie A, Serie B without a referee designator. Dissatisfaction from the Minister of Sport and Youth about how the FIGC is handling the complaint. And so there's a lot of this stuff going on. A lot of it going on. So James Horncastle and his work in Italy on what's going on here is pretty big. So that's your required reading, is to find out what in the wide world of sports is going on with that story. Because there's, like I said, there's a lot of layers to it. So the easiest thing, frankly, would be to have Nick come in and discuss it. And so we got to figure out if we can get Nick to come in and discuss it and kind of compare Calciopoli and all of the other stuff. Reminder tonight, special AST 92.9 and the Odyssey app, 10 o'clock. There's going to be some intersection attached because Ella Cool is going to be in there with Jason, previewing Open Cup, Atlanta United, women's soccer, 3-4-3, all the things. 10 o'clock. So that you got to keep an eye on at 10 o'clock tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. NWSL's Board of Governors is not expected to vote on a calendar flip this week. Move has faced opposition from the PA over operational flexibility. Pardeep Khatri at CBS. Notable topic of discussion. The commissioner, who was in town here last week as a part of the groundbreaking for Team 17's new training ground, admitting on several occasions league and the stakeholders continue to explore the option. Decision not believed to be imminent. Topic on the agenda for the meetings this week. Frequent updates to the agenda in the weeks and days and hours is not uncommon. According to Khatri, should the NWSL eventually decide to operate fall to spring, it would align with a majority of the counterparts in Europe. But remember, it took a couple of years to get to this point. What would summertime, obviously with summertime transfers and everything, for Major League Soccer, it made sense. For the NWSL, it would be whether or not the league's teams have facilities as a part of it. With the teams would have facilities to support a calendar flip. So then you would have bigger facilities issues for Gotham, Boston, Denver, Columbus would be another one. Spaces specifically dedicated to NWSL teams despite sharing ownership groups. Commissioner Berman last week in Columbus, when she was asked about whether the topic of the calendar flip comes up in expansion talks, she goes, I'm sure it does. More specifically, I think because our league plays beginning in early March through the end of November, and there's only 52 weeks in a year, more overlap than not between a spring to fall and a fall to spring. So not to minimize the importance of the decision, but it is to say expectation of any team in the NWSL is that you're able to both train and play in a variety of weather conditions. It's just the reality of the geographic footprint in the country. Facilities, primary topic. NWSLPA says that they have engaged their board of player reps and the broader membership on the question, recognizing the pros and cons of each and acknowledging factors outside of their control, including the women's international match calendar and limited control over facilities. Those are two things that are front and center for the NWSLPA in their discussions with the NWSL. Right question is not, quote, the right question is not whether the league should flip the calendar, but whether the right conditions exist to do so responsibly. Right now, they do not. That's from the NWSLPA. The ability to navigate weather-related disruptions depends on consistent control over facilities and operational flexibility across clubs, and that standard has not been met league-wide. Our top priorities in any scenario are protecting and promoting player health, safety, and performance. As a general matter, a majority of players polled on the question currently oppose flipping the calendar. So remember, you have extreme heat policies. You probably would have an extreme cold policy that's attached to anything that would happen if they were to flip said calendar. So now, keep an eye on that. Now, over the weekend also was the end of an era, I think. At least that is the prevailing opinion. And so you had Tigres beating Mazatlan 5-1, 56 minutes for Andre Pierre Gignac. 5 shots, a key pass, SofaScore rating is 6. But the question is now what the future is for Gignac when it comes to Tigres, because there had been discussions on a contract extension that did not come to pass. Nothing official. He's also 40 years old. It appears that his time at Tigres is done. 10-minute mark of the first half. The entire stadium basically has a display and a tribute to the striker who joined 11 years ago. 56th minute, head coach Guido Pizarro decides to send him to the bench for Juan Pablo Vigon. And so you have for Gignac an amazing career. An amazing career. All of the trophies that he was a part of. And it was one of those moments where if you were there and you were a fan of Tigres, you're going to say, I was here, I was here when. The impact was so great that even in France, L'Equipe also had the tribute to Gignac in their papers. 10th minute applause. And so you had for the 40-year-old now, no official announcement. Signs point to him not renewing his contract, so he could retire or return to France in a more symbolic than a competitive role. Truth is, the contract ends this year. And so every match, according to Marsa, feels like a farewell. And so what is up next for Gignac? Nobody knows. But once again, you're talking about a contract that is up and what seemed like a moment in Liga MX history for one of the most celebrated individuals that is there to have the moment available to him on a very, very special evening. Closed out the Clausura into the regular season, winning 5-1. 3 minutes in, he gets an assist on Angel Correa, nearly scored with a header a handful of minutes later. Maybe actually be able to see what's going on. So literally right now, they just are under the impression that there's not going to be a contract renewal for a Gignac. 222 goals, 5 Liga MX titles, 1 CONCACAF Champions League title, 3 scoring championships. And you have that moment for Tigres. Version gaining strength right now is that Gignac would extend his stay with the club for 6 more months before ending his career and then join management at Tigres. He was also linked to Pachuca, but that does not also seem to be gaining any real strength. So, does he hang out for another 6 months and then go upstairs? Don't know. That was posed by our friends at TV Azteca that would be what is going to be happening next. So, also just really quickly with what happened today, we did have Monday Night Football in the Premier League. We will have the next matchups available to us on May Day at 3 o'clock with Leeds and Burnley. But results today, 2 goals early for Manchester United, taking on Brentford. Final was 2-1 at Old Trafford. So Manchester United gets the win as they continue to chase after European football. Still looking more and more likely that Michael Carrick should get the gig, but we'll find out. Third in the standings with 4 matches to go. And Manchester City still with a match in hand. They win the match in hand, then once again, you would anticipate that they would go ahead of Arsenal on goal difference. Arsenal, Manchester City, 3 points back, match in hand. Then there's distance. Manchester United, 61, Liverpool, 58, Villa, 58, behind on goal difference. That's your European slots right there, Champions League. Europa League right now is Brighton at 50 points, but then that's where the fun starts. Because literally you have 7 teams separated by 4 points to get into Europa and then Europa Conference League. Brighton's at 50, Bournemouth at 49, Chelsea at 48. They've lost 5 in a row. Brentford at 48, behind on goal difference. Fulham at 48, behind on goal difference. Everton at 47, lost 2 in a row. Sunderland at 46, lost 2 in a row. That gets you to 13th. And Happy to Be Here FC, still chasing after a title. Newcastle at 42 points. They've lost 4 in a row. Leeds at 40 points, unbeaten in 5. Nottingham Forest at 39 points, unbeaten in 5. Then the fun. 4 matches to go. Wolves down, Burnley down. Scotty Too Hottie, Scott Parker, his future was being examined. Would he follow the team down to the championship? Don't know. Spurs right now, 34 points, 4 points in their last 2 matches. To get to 34 points, they're still in the last relegation spot. It looks like there's going to be a heavy hitter, a name brand that is going to go down in the Premier League this year, down to the championship. And how that team responds to that will be the big question. West Ham at 36, Spurs at 34. Spurs have Villa this weekend. West Ham has Brentford this weekend at the G-Tech on Saturday. Spurs go to Villa on Sunday. So that's the rundown in the Premier League. Your John Texter update. Botafogo has admitted that it is in a pre-bankruptcy state, having difficulty paying the salaries of players and other employees. Information included in a filing submitted to the court that ordered John Texter's removal from control of the Football Corporation, reported by the 4-letter. Document requests suspension of Eagle Bidco's rights over Botafogo, as it is involved in a behind-the-scenes dispute with Texter. In addition, it wants Dercesio de Mayo, former president, to be appointed as manager of the club company. SCF wants an urgent decision, especially because of the May 1st holiday, so they can meet financial obligations to their employees. According to the 4-letter, salaries of players and employees are due next Monday, the 4th. Lawyers state there is no money to pay them. Document argues that appointing Darcesio de Mayo as manager would provide the stability Botafogo needs to secure more financial resources. SAF says money could come through bank loans that are already at a very advanced stage in this regard, or from the sale of a player, which is also being arranged. But remember, they're under a transfer embargo at the same time. So keep an eye out on that. Hey, who knew that there were issues involving John Textor and Botafogo? So the story from ESPN Brazil mentioning the pre-bankruptcy state, and there is a player sale underway to pay salaries. Confidential documents presented by SAF reps to the judge of the Second Business Court of Rio de Janeiro. Petition filed Monday. Request does not ultimately aim for Textor's return to the helm, but rather seeks the suspension of any rights held by Eagle Bidco. Document mentions a potential sale of a Botafogo player as a possible way to obtain funds without specifying who that player would be. Palmeiras, for example, is currently negotiating the signing of defender Alexander Barbosa. Former president of the club statement continued, "We need to act in quickly. There's only a week left to secure new resources to pay salaries. The stability of the new sole director, Darcesio Mayo, association's rep on the board of directors, who hastily assumed management following the hasty removal of the sole statutory director, John Textor, as is public knowledge, is imperative to enable the reestablishment and completion of ongoing negotiations, which will involve the immediate injection of money either through bank loans, negotiations in this direction quite advanced, or the sale of a player also underway." So that is where we currently are involving John Textor. Hey, issues with John Textor. Who knew? Atlante has a new manager. It is Miguel Herrera. Remember, Atlante has bought basically the charter of Mazatlan. So Atlante will now be in the Liga MX next year with Miguel Herrera in charge. So you can buy the charters. You can do that. And so that is where we are with a handful of notes. Anything and everything that is going on involving some news, some notes, some things, and obviously keeping an eye on all of that. One other note from Michelle Kaufman. Miami is expected to host the FIFA Women's Champions Cup in late January 27. My guess is it will be at New Stadium. England's men's World Cup team is going to train at the Inter Miami facility in Fort Lauderdale in early June. Traditionally, if you catch it early enough, the Michelle Kaufman stories are out in the open. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they end up behind pay windows. But so it looks like the Champions Cup, Women's Champions Cup, is going to be at New Stadium in early 27. So we'll keep an eye on that. 10 after 9, we made it into hour number 2 with a bunch of things going on around the world. With Four Card in the house and D. Graham in the house and all of you on the Twitch pitch, guess what? One thing and one thing only. We're going here. Might help if I hit the right button. I went up instead of down. I love that horn section. That horn section just makes me smile every single week. My results don't make me smile every single week, but the horn section does. So let's get into what happened last week. And as I told you, it wasn't really a crappy week, and I've had a string of crappy weeks. Boy, have I had a string of crappy weeks. I ended up on the plus side, I think at plus 85. So let's go over what happened last week. And we started Tuesday morning in the Estonian Meistriliiga, Master League top flight, with Kuressaare and Pärnu JK Vaprus. I picked Kuressaare because they were the home favorite, and they lost. Vaprus won 1-0. Match 2, Greece Super League, AEL Larissa and Kifisia. I picked a draw in this one because it was a plus 220, two teams fairly close to one another. And I actually got that one right. I think my losing streak was snapped at like 12 matches in a row. So that got me a plus 220 on the board. Major League Soccer, RSL hosting Messi and friends. I thought that it was going to be a wacky, crazy draw. It was wacky and crazy, but it was still a win for Messi and friends at a plus 175 on the road. They were a dog on the road and won 2-0. The fact that they were a dog on the road was the part that shocked me. Match 4, so our weekly delving into the Uzbek Super League. And since we didn't have numbers, it was hundreds across the board. And it was Dinamo and OKMK. I picked Dinamo, and I was wrong. It was a 2-2 draw with Dinamo and OKMK as our education continues in the Uzbek Super League. Match number 5, J1, the Japanese First Division. Kashiwa Reysol and Kashima Antlers. I picked the Antlers on the road at a plus 220. They won 1-0. Holy crap. I was actually 2-3 at one point. Match 6 in the Veikkausliiga in Finland, top flight. TPS and Gustan. Can't even read my own damn handwriting. GUA. I think it was Guastan. So TPS and Guastan. I picked the TPS. It was a 1-1 draw, so I lost. I went to 2-4. Then Serie B, Cesena and Sampdoria. I thought Sampdoria would win on the road because of Cesena's recent form. Oh, no. It would be a draw at a plus 210. And then that led us to Minnesota United LAFC. LAFC was a road favorite, and I picked LAFC, and they won 1-0. So I was 3-5 on the week. And honestly, Kashima Antlers at a plus 220 really helped me out. So it was plus 5. It was gaining 585 and then losing 5 matches. So I ended up at a plus 85. And there has been a there has been a question to the floor, wondering where the line of demarcation is when it comes to the activity. When is this particular session end, and when do we pick up? And so the overall table, you have 4-card, Hutch, and Ricky all within 200 points of one another. Then Will Secor is alone in 4th, and then you have Bam and the OG at 5th and 6th within touching distance. Turner is within touching distance as well. Then you have Kefsi is the last one in the positive. Cody is in the negative, and then Pars, Ropes, and Jordan are well into the negative. But I am probably below even Jordan, who is fighting Ropes for last and next to last. We do not have relegation. I don't know where we'd relegate you to, but nevertheless, we got to figure out when it resets. I have an idea as to when it should be. And then we go from there to figure out, okay, how about now? And then we reset it. And then we'll go forward from there. I've got an idea. I will consult. And we will figure it out. But yeah, I went 3-5, had a plus 85, and I am far closer to the bottom than I am to the top. So match number 1. It's our Uzbek special. The Uzbek special is going first because I caught it early. And we are going to pick the first game out of the blocks tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. local time, 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. So tomorrow is, Tuesday is the 28th. Wednesday is the 29th. Thursday is the 30th. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31. So Friday is the 1st. Saturday is the 2nd. Sunday is the 3rd. So 10 o'clock Atlanta time tomorrow morning, the Uzbek Super League, Andijan and Dinamo Samarkand. Andijan and Dinamo Samarkand, match number 1. Andijan is a plus 120, 129. That's okay, so that's shifted. Draws a plus 220. We actually have numbers for this. And then Dinamo Samarkand is a plus 195. Standings, Andijan at home is 12th in the 16-team Uzbek Super League. So Andijan is 3-1-5. They're plus 1 in goal difference, but they have done better as of late. They've hit each column once in their last 3. Dinamo Samarkand has lost 3 of 5, and technically they had their 2-game losing streak snapped last week in the match that we had them involved in with OKMK. So as we gain our education of the Uzbek Super League, let's find out about Andijan, FC Andijan. Interesting, Paul Revere-ish kind of a crest. Andijan Football Clubi, the Eagles. Although, okay, so you do have birds over the Paul Revere-ish looking character with the long flowy cape. Formed in 1964, they play at Bobur Arena, capacity of 18,360. Alexander Khomyakov is currently their manager. Formed in 1964 under Spartak, 1969 renamed to Andijanez. After 1990, the club played in the Uzbek League as Navruz Andijan. They were FK Andijan since 1997. 3 seasons they played in the Soviet League championships. In August of 2012, they hired Azamat Abduraimov as their head coach to help them remain in the top flight, relegated to the first league. Club finished as 2013 runners-up after Mashal Mubarak gained promotion after a single year in the first league. 14th after their first year. Then you had your manager resign in the middle of June. Orif Matkazin named the interim. Edgar Guess appointed as the new coach in September 2014. Kind of quiet for 10 years. They won their first ever Uzbek Cup. Vladimir Bubanya scored in the 120th minute against Navbahar. Crucial win for the club as they qualified for the AFC Champions League 2, first ever continental competition in club history. AFC Champions League 2, they drew 5, lost 1. Current roster as of last August, so maybe not so current, but nevertheless. Plenty of Uzbeks. They have a Kosovan midfielder in Altin Kreyezu, a Nigerian forward in Ismail Akinade, a Ukrainian keeper in Artem Odintsov, a Kyrgyzstani keeper in Erjan Tokotayev, a Polish defender, Christian Novak, And like I said, a lot of Uzbek players, no surprise. And Alexander Khomyakov is their manager, former professional footballer, played as a keeper. So they've won the Uzbek Cup in 24. They were 3-time champs of the Pro League, runners-up in the Super Cup, runners-up in the First League. Signed a partnership agreement with Centrum Air, a private Uzbek airline company, March 12th of 25. And so they do have an official website. Let's see how active it is. Let's see, because it's supposed to be in both in English, Russian, and Uzbek. So Russian and Uzbeki. And okay, so it looks like we kind of have the English version up. Okay, so you can follow them on Telegram and on Insta. And they have a U21 youth side. And you can even contact them. They have a phone number if you wish to contact FC Andijan. Andijan Football Klubi. So Andijan is a road favorite in this matchup because they're in 12th and they have 4 points in their last 2 matches. Dinamo Samarkand has just the 1 draw in their last 3. And this matchup is at Andijan. So we'll be going with Andijan in this one, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So you got to be on the hop for this one. So it is, Promotional Academy 3. You are done. Waited for that. I'm waiting for these bots to try and come in here and get something done. So they have been blocked, and they're in the process of being reported. So I kind of suspected of being a bot. Why? Because I think it's a damn bot. That's why. So solicitation bot. 23 characters, viewer solicitation bot, submit report. There we go. Report submitted on Promotional Academy 3. All right. And Sale Pit Online, I have no earthly idea where you're located. But yes, we are leading off with a return visit of Dinamo Samarkand going to Andijan, 14 at 12, separated by 2 points in the table. Very, very early in the season. So in the 16-team league, Mashal Mubarak is in serious trouble when it comes to relegation. 10 matches in, they've lost all 10. They've only scored 3. They've given up 18. So I don't anticipate us getting a Mashal Mubarak matchup in the Uzbek Super League here on Picks of the Week. But just to let you know, they're already 0 points, 3 goals scored, 18 allowed in 10 matches. So that is match number 1, 10 o'clock in the morning here, U.S. time. It is Andijan hosting at Dinamo Samarkand in the Uzbek Super League. The Uzbek Super League, people. Ooh, okay. So then matchup number 2. We're going to go to Belarus for the Belarusian Cup. 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. And it is Dynamo Minsk in Belarus. Sure, why not? Going up against ML Vitebsk. We're going to learn about ML Vitebsk here in a second. Dynamo Minsk is a plus 200. Draw is a plus 170. ML Vitebsk is a plus 137. So in the Belarusian Cup, the results, you had Vitebsk beat Dynamo Brest. How is this possible? Did you have... I'd love to know how this is possible. Because they have like teams playing on back-to-back that literally have 2 matches a day. Because apparently 12 days ago, Dynamo Minsk won at ML Vitebsk to set up this matchup that's happening on Wednesday. And then ML Vitebsk won at home against Dynamo Brest earlier in the day or later in the day. Dynamo Minsk on March 14th. Oh, okay. So, March, not April. Okay, so April 15th, Dynamo Minsk beat ML Vitebsk in Vitebsk. Then back in March, Vitebsk beat Dynamo Brest. Day before, Dynamo Minsk beat Islok. They were favored. Week before that, Vitebsk won at Dynamo Brest 2-0. 2-0 seems to be the scoreline for a lot of this stuff. And then Dynamo Minsk lost at Islok on March the 7th. Vitebsk put 8 on FC Slonim back in December. So the standings for the Belarusian Cup, let's see if they even have standings per se. But yeah, 1 o'clock. So in the, okay. So it's 2 legs in this tournament. And so this is the second leg of the semifinals, I think. So I can't come up with the finals. Yeah, so second leg of the Belarusian Cup semifinals, where Dynamo Minsk has a 2-0 lead on ML Vitebsk, and they're playing at home. So Vitebsk has to score at least twice if we go by normal tiebreaker rules. ML Vitebsk has to score twice at Dynamo Minsk to send it to an extra 30 minutes, and then they go to PKs. So, yes, in the quarterfinals, ML Vitebsk beat Dynamo Brest by 4-0 aggregate. Dynamo Minsk beat Islok 2-1 in the aggregate. And then in the other semi, I'm going to keep an eye out for Slavia Mozir and Bate Borisov. Borisov won leg 1 of the semis, 1-0 over Slavia Mozir. But let's find out about ML Vitebsk in the Belarusian Cup. So ML Vitebsk, remember, second leg, Belarusian Cup semis. FC Maxline Vitebsk. All this has sponsor written all over it. Belarusian football club based in Vitebsk. Until 2023, the club represented Rahachal. Club competes in the Belarusian Premier, top tier, following promotion from the first league back in 24. They play at the Vitebsky Central Sports Complex, capacity of a little over 8,100. BK Maxline is their owner. Their head coach is Mikhail Martinovich. They were the champions last year in the Belarusian Premier League, and they do have their own website. Team was founded in 1983 and reformed 12 years ago. They were dissolved back in 2006. So this is the this is the Phoenix Club, I guess, of the previous version from when they were Automobilist in 1983. I'll give you the crest here in a sec. Was founded as Automobilist Rogachev, renamed KSM Rogachev the following year. Since their foundation and until the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the team was playing in the Belarusian SSR League. In 1988, they were renamed Dnipro Rogachev. In 1992, team joined the newly created Belarusian Second League, where they spent 6 years. After the 96 season, promoted to the First League. 98, they were renamed FC Rogachev. They just keep going back and forth with like FCs and Rogachevs and things. First League, Second League. Then in 21, rebranded into Maxline Rogachev after being taken over by, and this is from our friends with the Wikipedias, taken over by the eponymous betting company. During the offseason, they earned the right in 23 to be promoted to the Belarusian Premier. In the offseason, leading into the 23 season, denied Premier League license, stayed in the First League as a result. In 23, club cut ties with Rogachev, relocated to Vitebsk with the intention of having better chances for promotion in the bigger city with better infrastructure. Changed the club name and at the end of the 24 calendar year. changes related to the licensing conditions for the Belarus teams in connection with their transition to the Belarusian Premier League in 2025. According to the rules of the Belarusian Football Federation, clubs cannot be called by the name of the bookmakers before being promoted. Thus, Max Line had to shorten itself to 2 capital letters, ML. To them, they added Vitebsk, the name of the city where the team is based. In Thanksgiving our time in 2025, Max Line Vitebsk officially secured their first top-tier Belarusian title, beating FC Gomel, final home game of the year. And they have a lot of Belarusians currently on the roster right now. They have a Nigerian midfielder, Ode Abdullahi. Why is that name familiar? Russian forward in Timur Ivanov, a Shamar Nicholson. Shamar Nicholson, who plays for the Jamaican national team, is on loan from Tijuana to FC ML Vitebsk. Signed with Tijuana on February 5th of 2025. And now he's on loan to ML or Max Line Vitebsk. He has yet to play a match. Nikita Glushkov, the Russian forward, is there. Serbian midfielder Alexander Mesarovic. Malian forward Basiku Diabate, and a lot of Belarusians. They have an Italian forward out on loan to Naftan Novopolotsk, a Russian to Unix Labs, and 3 Belarusian players that are out on loan. Won the Belarusian Premier League in 2025. They were runners-up in the First League in 2024. So Max Line Vitebsk, ML Vitebsk, is down 2-0 to Dynamo Minsk. Can they turn it around? I don't think so. Dynamo Minsk at a plus 200. And this is just to win the match, not to win the 2 legs and advance to the finals in the competition. This is in the 1 semifinal in Belarus. So Dynamo Minsk at a plus 200, ML Vitebsk at a plus 137 to win the match. Draws at a plus 170. I'm going draw because I don't think it's going to be a whole lot going on. Dynamo Minsk is going to sit there and go, you know what? We're just here so we don't get fined and so we can go to the final. And I think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be just a painful draw. A painful draw with those matchups. So let's see what else we can find in all of our activities as we head to matchup number 3. Ooh, okay. Let's go to a place that we haven't been in quite some time. Friday. We're going to go to Ecuador. 5:30 in the afternoon on Friday in Ecuador. In the Ecuador Liga Pro. First Division. Universidad Católica and Independiente del Valle. IDV makes its return to Picks of the Week. Universidad Católica is a plus 140. Draws a plus 220. And IDV is a plus 170. Stats. Well, standings, not necessarily stats. Standings right now, kind of early in the year. Independent, and this is 1 versus 2. Oh. 1 versus 2 early on in the table in Ecuador. Independiente del Valle, 8-1-2, top of the table, 25 points. They've won 2 in a row. Universidad Católica, 6-4-1. They had their 4-match unbeaten string snapped. They had a 3-game win streak snapped last time out. They're at 22 points, losing 1-0 at Manta. And the shock result of the season, Manta dead last. At Manta, Universidad Católica loses 1-0 to give Manta their 2nd win of the year to draw closer to the bottom of the table. But Universidad Católica is at home, hosting IDV, 3 points behind. It is 1 versus 2 in the table in Ecuador. What's going to happen in this one? IDV is a road dog, and Católica The home favorite, no real surprise at a plus 140. So let's go and find out the head-to-head. Let's go ahead and go to and consult with our friends at SofaScore. And let's find out Independiente del Valle. Independiente del Valle. No, I'm not going to get Google Chrome. I've already got it. So, in the matchup, where's my upcomings? So, Independiente del Valle and Libertad, and this is part of the deal. Independiente del Valle and Libertad play in the Copa Libertadores tomorrow. Keep an eye out for the Copa Libertadores show with our friend Howard Hamilton and Soccer Metrics. I believe this is show 100. We need to have a party, or at least blow a trumpet of some degree. Big milestone for Howard Hamilton and the Copa Libertadores show. So Independiente del Valle is coming off of a Libertadores match against Libertad tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And then they have to turn around to come back in league play to take on Universidad Católica. Oh, and they pushed it back to Sunday because of it. Okay. So we'll include it. We will include it because it's listed right now as May the 1st. It's listed as a Friday matchup. So we will slide it. Basically, it'll be matchup number 7. We're still going to do it. But it has been slid, apparently, to Sunday, which is a smart play by the league. So Universidad Católica Independiente del Valle has been slid 11 o'clock on Sunday night. Okay, sure. Because Independiente del Valle has Libertad, and it is bottom of the table, top of the table in match day 3 in Group H. So Independiente del Valle is a dog having to turn around after taking on Libertad tomorrow on a Tuesday. Supposed to play them now on Sunday instead of Friday, but either way, since they're coming off of Libertadores, then having to go to Católica on the road, I'm going Universidad Católica to plus 140. So keep an eye on the start times. But one publication, our friends at Odds Portal have it as Friday the 1st. SofaScore has it late night Sunday. So keep an eye on it, but that's matchup number 3. Ecuador, Liga Pro, whenever it is, with that particular matchup. So we've gone to Uzbekistan, we've gone to Belarus, and we've gone to Ecuador. Where, pray tell, do we go next? Let's find out, shall we? Ooh, okay. Let's go here. I'm going to go to Cyprus again because they're in the relegation group right now. And so at noon on Friday, apparently, possibly, probably, allegedly, the relegation group in Cyprus, in the Cyprus League, and I think they do the dreaded split, and I think that's why it's the relegation league. Chloraka and Aknas. Chloraka and Aknas in the relegation group of the Cyprus League. Friday, noon Eastern time. Chloraka and Aknas. And we will learn about these two. Chloraka is a plus 160. Draws a plus 235. And Aknas is a plus 140. Standings currently in the championship group, they've split it in half. So it's 1 through 6 and 7 through 12. Relegation group, 7 through 14, 12, 13, and 14 get relegated to the second division. Aknas right now, after 30 matches, is in the relegation group. They are at 30 points, 2 points from safety with a handful of matches to go. And Chloraka, guess where they are? They've won 2 in a row to get out of the relegation zone, and they're at 32 points. So Aknas on the road is a favorite at Cloraca. Cloraca has won 2 in a row in the relegation group to get out of the relegation zone in the relegation group. Aknas has won 2 of 3 to get to 30 points. Paralimni, by the way, just so you know, they are really going to get relegated because they are in 30 matches. They've won once. They've lost 28. They've given up 75 goals. They've only scored 10. And Paralimni actually won against the Omania Aradipu on about 5 weeks ago to get that first win of the year. So they were 30 and 20, so 20, 30, 20, 20. So in their 27th game of the year, they won their first match. But they're not one of the two teams we're worried about. Aknas on the road at Cloraca in the relegation group in Cyprus. So let's find about Cloraca FC, shall we? Cloraca FC. Akritas Clorakas. Cypriot professional football club based in Cloraca, Paphos. Very green. It's a very green logo. Club was founded in 71, currently plays in the first division, green and white, play at the Cloraca Municipal Stadium. Club is owned by Lithuanian investor Liutaras Varanavičius. Joined the Football Association in 71, was in the third division in 73. Third division, second division, third division, second division. They play at Cloraca Municipal Stadium, capacity of 3,500. They were promoted out of the second division last year by finishing third. Second time in their history, returned after 2 years in the second division. And they have plenty of different nationalities for their roster. Albanian keeper, Portuguese defender, Guianan Tierno Bari on loan from Tierno Isiaga Bari Arevalo. Okay, just Tierno. On loan from Crosava Ipsonas and the Guinea national team. Venezuelan forward, Spanish midfielder, Nigerian defender, Colombian midfielder Yair Castro, Nigerian forward, German midfielder Emmanuel Taffertshofer, Nikita Dubov, who is English by nationality, midfielder, Emmanuel Vignato, who's on loan from Pisa, Belarusian defender Pavel Zabalin, Ghanaian forward Braden Manu, Belgian midfielder Anthony Limbombe, Carlitos, who is Angolan and a midfielder wearing number 80, Benson Anang, a Ghanaian defender, and keeper Yigal Becker, on loan from Apoel, is from Israel, representing Israel. So a lot of different nationalities, and team manager is Cypriot Themis Agathoklius. And so they are out of the relegation zone right now, as they are going up against Aknas, who is currently in the relegation zone. Cloraca 1 point out of the relegation zone right now in the relegation half of the Cypriot League. So let's see if Aknas has a colorful past and possibly a colorful present. Ethnikos Akna FC. Their nickname is the Akniotes, the Aknas ones. Founded 58 years ago, 1968. Founded in 68, they play in the Cypriot First Division. Dasaki Stadium, which can accommodate 7,000. Played in the second division until 83. Immediately relegated. Promoted back in 86. Stayed for 4. 2 years in the second division. Promoted again. Remained until relegation in 2018. They've been in the Intertoto Cup 6 times. Ethnikos won the Intertoto Cup in 2006, one of 11 winners of that year's competition. So Cypriot second division winner 3 times. Was the joint winner of the Intertoto Cup in 2006 and runner-up in the Cypriot Cup twice. Last time was in 2021-22. Because of their success in the Intertoto Cup, Ethnikos was named the Sports Team of the Year in 2006 by the Sports Journalists Union of Cyprus. Roster, once again, has a lot of variety. I would imagine that there are some agents that have ties to players in South America. Brazilian defender, Argentine midfielder Juan Bautista Sejas on loan from Godoy Cruz. Portugal, Ghana, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, France, Cameroon, yes. Argentine forward Nicolas Andregen. Guyana, once again loaned from Paphos. Guyana, Ghana, Brazil, Portugal, Greece, Neneko. Confident enough to be just Neneko, a Colombian midfielder. Carlos Enrique Renteria Olaya, known as Neneko. And apparently he was in the V-League Songlam Gaean. He's a defensive midfielder, but he's on the roster of our friends at Aknas right now. And their crest is, it looks like it's kind of like a, if you look at it, it's like a guy with a really, let me show this to you real quick. So this is their crest. And it literally, if you look at it, it's like one of those Rorschach tests. And it looks like that it looks like it's a Rorschach test with a dude's face. I'm not kidding. There. Ethnikos Akna. To me, that's what that looks like. Soccer for Good OG had a negative week. OG, you're not the only one. So, yeah, that looks like a dude's face. It literally looks like, while that is the, that is Cyprus and Greece and Ethnikos Akna taking care of everything. It looks like to me, it looks like that it is a gentleman's face, and he has like one of those Van Dykes. That's what it looks like. Very imaginative crest for Ethnikos Akna. And so that's that is who Claraka and Aknas in the Cypriot League in the relegation zone. I'm going to go. Where am I going to go here? Claraka has won to get them out of a jam. So they've won 2 in a row. So Claraka is hot, and they're at home, but they're a dog. But I'll take the dog at home. So I'll take Claraka. And so that's match number 4. All right. Now, like I said, since we're into Friday, I've got to kind of have to see if we can find Friday and Saturday. And you know that Saturday is going to be a part of the chaos that's going to be attached to everything going on in England that we talked about in hour number 1. Without question. Without question, that's what's going to happen. Okay, so we can't do North Macedonia, which is disappointing. And let's see, can we go here? Okay, they're currently like in their relegation group. But can we do Monday? No, that's kind of pushing it just a bit much. That's pushing it. It was an idea, but Cluj and Rapid Bucuresti, that's not going to help. That is not going to help. So let's see. No, this is where we sit here and we're scanning or trying to find things to get us to the end of the week, which is going to be a combination of England and the United States. So that we know. That we know that we're getting into. That's the easy part. So we know where the ending is going to be. So let's see. How about here? Will this work? Maybe, perhaps. Yeah, it will. Okay, so let's see if we can get a matchup that's worth something here. Okay. All right. 3:30 in the morning, Saturday. We're going to South Korea. So the South Korean First Division, K-League 1. And we're going to have Incheon and Gangwon. Incheon and Gangwon. Incheon is a plus 200. Draws a plus 210. Gangwon is a plus 150. And I know I got to do this on the hop because we got 10 minutes left and we got 4 matchups. So we're going to do this on the hop, but it's going to be a lot of England and a lot of U.S. So right now, Incheon is 5th, and they do the dreaded split. It's 5 versus 6. We're 10 matches in. And Incheon is in 5th, behind on goal difference to Anyang. They've won 2 in a row. They're unbeaten in 3. Gangwon had a 4-match unbeaten string snap last time out by the league leaders Seoul FC, who beat Gangwon at Gangwon 2-1. So Incheon and Gangwon. Incheon at home is a big underdog. They beat Jeju SK, who is in 8th, and this is a group of clubs that are just slammed together. From 4th to 9th, so 6 teams separated by 2 points right now. 10 matches in this part of the schedule. So Incheon is a plus 200 as a home dog. Really don't score a lot, but they don't really give up a lot. Their goal difference -1. They've scored 14, given up 15. Gangwon has a better defense. They've only given up 9 goals in 10 matches. And they've scored 13. So offenses are about the same. Gangwon's defense is better. Gangwon lost last time out. They're on the road at Incheon. I'm going to go draw here. I'm going to take that draw at a plus 210. I don't anticipate a whole lot of draws being goals being scored. I mean, literally, if it was a total that I could stare at, I probably would do that and go under. But I don't anticipate a whole lot of goals here, so it kind of leans me in toward a draw with Gangwon on the road, favored at Incheon at a plus 150, Incheon a plus 200, draw at a plus 210. 5 down, 3 to go. I know what my tiebreaker is going to be, so that's going to be the easy part. Now, in the playoffs, in the Clausura. Okay, so that's going to be kind of down the line. So we could do that one or we could do that one. So let's do that one, but not yet. So we will do the Clausura for matchup number 7, kind of tying into what we were talking about earlier in the show. And so matchup number 7 is going to be Saturday night. So Sabado Futbolero, we are going to include it in the Clausura playoffs. But we're not getting there yet. So if we were to go into, okay, so here's how it's going to work. In England on Sunday, it is the last day of the regular season. We mentioned how things are going to be cuckoo crazy. The championship matches all start at 7:30 in the morning Eastern time. The League One matches, after you get through the midweek, all the League One matches start at 10 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday morning. So that's going to be matchup number 6. We've got to figure out which one has the most chaotic look, and we'll pick that one. Bolton and Luton. All right, so 10 o'clock Saturday morning, League One, Bolton hosting Luton. So Bolton Wanderers hosting Luton Town, who had back-to-back relegations after having their cup of coffee in the Premier League. So Bolton plus 145, draws a plus 285, Luton Town is a plus 154. Now, to let you know what's on the line, reminder. Literally, you have Bolton is in third. Right now, they are in the 3 spot in the promotion playoff. They're the number 1 seed right now in the promotion playoff. They're third in the table, 75 points. Luton Town is 7th in the table. Luton is unbeaten in 5. Bolton's unbeaten in 3. Last 2 of those were draws. Bolton's at 75 points. Luton's at 71. Luton is charging. Bolton needs basically, and Stockport County has a match tomorrow, so they will have a better idea as to where they are in the table after tomorrow. But Bolton is chasing after the number 3 spot in the table. Stockport, by the way, hosting Port Vale, and Port Vale is next to last in the table. So if you assume that Stockport gets the win in match 44 that they're hosting, they'd be at 77 points. Bolton needs a win to get to the 3. Stevenage plays Wigan on the weekend. So with Wigan 16th and 16 points behind them, you anticipate a Stevenage victory. So they get to 75. Bradford gets Exeter. Exeter is in a relegation fight. That might be the one that trips up. But biggest thing is that Bolton in match day 46 needs a win badly if they're going to be in the 3. They could drop to maybe 5th because they have superior goal difference on both Bradford City and Stevenage. But Luton, if they win, gets to 74. And they could sneak in, and then Stevenage or Bradford City Stevenage could get bumped out. So all of this is in play, and this is in the promotion playoff positions in League One. Bolton needs a win. Luton needs a win, basically, if they're going to keep the beat. So Luton's at a plus 154. I'm going to go there just for the sake of chaos. So I'm going to go Luton Town gets the win to create chaos in the promotion playoff spots in League One. And just to let you know, all the League Two starts are at 10 o'clock. 7:30, 10, and so it's 7:30 for the championship, 10 o'clock for League Two, and 10 o'clock for League One. So League One and League Two, they're going on simultaneously. There better be a Golasso show for this. So League One and League Two will get it all settled by noon on Saturday. Championships at 7:30 to get everything out of the way. But we're going League One, Bolton and Luton. Then 9 o'clock Saturday night, I mentioned we were going to go to Liga MX, and we're going to the Clausura and the playoff at 9 o'clock. Tigres at home, a plus 137 hosting Chivas. Chivas is a plus 195, and the draw is a plus 250. I'm going Tigres in this one here in the playoffs. Just to let you know, Chivas is second in the table, 36 points in the 17 matches in the Clausura. Tigres is at 25 points. Tigres is favored in the 2-7 in this leg. I don't know why, but I'll take it. I don't know why. With Chivas second in the table at 11-3-3, one of the better defenses in the league. Everybody had great defenses in this section of the Liga MX in the Clausura. But Tigres has won 4 in a row coming into this matchup. Chivas is unbeaten in 3. Their last 2 were draws. So, okay, I guess I can figure out why Tigres was what it was. So we'll go Tigres here to plus 137, 9 o'clock on Saturday. Now, last match on the board, matchup number 8. And we will go over all of the things here on the weekend. So we can do one of two things. Yeah, let's go Sunday. Okay. So MLS on Sunday. MLS on Sunday. Sunday night, 5:30 Eastern Time. So I don't know if this is technically Sunday night soccer or not. But it is Austin FC hosting all caps, St. Louis City SC. Austin's a plus 150 at home at Q2. Draws a plus 250. And St. Louis City SC is a plus 165. Austin favored at home. St. Louis City is on the road. Western Conference standings. Austin is in 13th at 2-4-4. St. Louis City is, after 9 matches, 1-3-5, 6 points. They've lost 2 in a row. So I will go with Austin here at home. Not really thinking too hard about it. Not really thinking too hard about it. St. Louis City on the road. Like I said, they've lost 2 in a row. Lost 3-2, and they lost 4-1 on the road to Seattle. Lost 3-2 at home to San Jose. Now, tiebreaker. We mentioned how goofy it's going to be last day of the regular season. So here's what we're going to do. Who gets the last spot? Who gets the 6th seed in the championship? No, that is not what I wanted. Really not what I wanted. Then why are you in Spanish all of a sudden? Quotasaura.com. That's not what I wanted. Odds portal. Thank you. I don't know why it went to Spanish on me all of a sudden. So, last matchup, tiebreaker. How does the 6, 7, 8 matchup in the table, how does that finish in the EFL Championship? I need order. I need point total. I need goal difference. I need goals scored. That's how tight this goes. Wrexham, 70 points, plus 4 on goal difference, 67 goals scored. Hull, 70 points, plus 3 in goal difference, 68 goals scored. Derby County, 69 points, 66 goals, plus 9 in goal difference. So I need the order, I need the point total, I need goal difference, and I need goals for the sake of tiebreakers to carry it down the line. I don't think it'll get that far, but I need all of that information just for the sake of tiebreakers for the tiebreaker. Wrexham, Hull, and Derby. Who finishes where? What's the goal difference? And then I need goals scored. It's not really a whole lot of matchup there, but who's the 6? Who's the 7? Who's the 8? What's the point total? And then we go into the tiebreakers. Goal difference, goal scored. It's probably the longest tiebreaker that we have ever chosen, but that's it. So recap before we get out of here. Uzbek Super League, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, Dinamo and Andijan. Andijan at home, favored. I have Andijan. Match 2, 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, Belarusian Cup, Dinamo Minsk and ML Vitebsk. I'm picking a draw. 5:30 Friday morning, or 5:30 Friday afternoon, 5:30 Friday afternoon, 17:30 hours. 17:30 Friday afternoon, Ecuadorian Liga Pro, Universidad Católica and Independiente del Valle. This could be Friday, this could be Sunday because of Copa Libertadores. But I've got Universidad Católica because Independiente del Valle is playing in Libertadores tomorrow. Noon Friday, number 4. Cyprus League, relegation half, Cloraca and Aknas. I have Cloraca. 1-2 in a row to get out of the relegation zone. Number 5, 3:30 Saturday morning, South Korea K-League, Incheon Gangwon. Teams right next to each other in the table. I have a draw at a plus 210. 6, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, League One, Bolton and Luton. Both teams chasing. Bolton trying to stay in the 3, the top spot in the promotion playoff. Luton trying to get into the promotion playoff. Both teams have something to play for. Bolton's a slight favorite. I'm going Luton because I want chaos. My team is in safely in League One. I'm fine. 9 o'clock Saturday night, Clausura playoff, leg 1, Tigres and Chivas. Tigres is a home favorite. Chivas finished second in the table. It's the 2-7. Traditionally, there's a lot of chaos in these. Chivas is favored at a plus 137. That's where I'm going. MLS Sunday Night Soccer, which is more like Sunday afternoon. Austin and St. Louis City, SC. Austin favored at a plus 150. I'm going there. And the tiebreaker, it's the mother of all tiebreakers. Championship, EFL. Who's the 6? Who's the 7? Who's the 8? Point total, goal difference, goals scored. It's that tight. So this will be a tiebreaker that you will have earned your juice boxes without question. Sorry that we went over for 7 minutes, but I thought the learning would be learning, and I thought that we would have some fun tonight. So that is the rundown of yet another go in soccer over there. Tomorrow morning, stacked show. Will Pelagic, play-by-play voice of Charlotte FC, is going to join us as we get ready for Open Cup. 9:30, it's going to be Kurt Badenhausen from Sportico. We're going to talk about the top 50 clubs and their values. Surprises, shocks, what they do when it comes to asset renderings, all those things. 10 o'clock, it's where we catch up with Kaylor Hodges, or shortly before 10, because the conversation took a half hour. So shortly before 10 o'clock, Kaylor Hodges, find out what's going on in the USL Championship, USL League One, and the Prinks Cup, although no one has seen a Prinks tire. And then at 10:30, Philip Thomas, the head coach of River Ridge Boys, is going to be joining us as we get you ready for opening round of round number 2 in the playoffs. And we'll go over the matchups at Red Clay Tuesday at noon. But Philip Thomas, matchup on Wednesday, River Ridge, McIntosh Boys, and we will find out what's going on. It is a defending champ and a blue blood. True power on the boys' side, regardless of class. Philip Thomas joining us at 10:30. So it is a stacked Tuesday on SDHAM. Now that we're done, head over to 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Ella Cool sitting in with Jason for Atlanta Soccer tonight for 2 hours, 10 to midnight. Enjoy it. We're leaving here. Go over there, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. And because it's the end of this particular program, we get to do this. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Head on over to 92.9. We'll see you in the morning at 9:05.